Hello here. This is Bill Dannenhauer with Ballin with Bill and presented by Sideline Power. I want to thank you very much. I have a very special guest today that I know very, very well. I've known for a long time back when I was wrestling and he was coaching over at UNO and for Pat Burns. So I've known him a long time, but I want to welcome Bob Dzuris from Plattsmouth High School. Thanks, Bob, for coming in.
Thanks, Bill, man. Appreciate being here.
Appreciate you coming, man. So kind of give a basis how you got involved in football and where you played at. I know you played at Midland, but high school wise and all that stuff.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was real passionate about football. Having a father who never graduated from high school, but my dad was still very passionate about football, and it was football 365 for him. And at a young age, I always knew I wanted to play. I went to high school at Emerson Hubbard in northeast Nebraska. A bunch of tough old farm kids, which is such a small school now. We were a big C1 school back in the late 70s, and they're a D2 school now. So it's farms got bigger, less farm people to run it, and fewer kids there. But great country, great people up there, northeast Nebraska. Between the schools at Pierce, Stanton, Madison, we had a lot of good rivalries up there, and good football players, good football, and we were right in the mix of it. Had 4 consecutive winning seasons, and just had a great experience with it all the way through.
Super. So you went to college. Where'd you play college ball at?
Well, my freshman year, I went to the University of South Dakota.
That's right. I forget you were a Coyote there for a while.
And that was a big step for me, but I really enjoyed it going from a small school to the big city or big school at that time. It was a blast. I enjoyed it. Played a lot of, back then they didn't redshirt a whole lot of kids, so you played JV ball.
Right.
That was a lot of fun, broke a couple fingers during spring football, really limited my opportunities, and then all of a sudden I was back at the bottom of the depth chart and just really questioning everything. And school that probably recruited me the most out of high school next to Wayne State was Midland, and so I went for a visit, and the rest is history. I spent an awful lot of time in Fremont, Nebraska over my years.
Yeah, you did. You played there, and so now after you got done playing, I know you had a real good career there. Now, did you play any? Was Schneider ever the head coach? Was he always the assistant coach when you were there?
Steve was an assistant when I was there.
Watchorn was your head coach the whole time.
Yeah, Don Watchorn, former UNO guy as well.
Yeah.
And
that's how my dad and that's how we ended up in Nebraska, because he took the job over there.
You bet. And Don was a big character guy. Don was one of those guys that he came home and played college football after World War II. So he's like 25, 26 years old playing college football. Right. And he had seen it all overseas, so playing football was nothing for him. But big discipline guy, big character guy, and he drove that point home every day.
Yeah, I know Don. Don believed in a lot of that stuff. Was a very good coach and good teacher. And
you bet.
You guys were always very good football teams under his watch.
You bet. Great rushing football teams, a lot of triple option football, and if you wanted to watch us pass, come watch during pregame, because that didn't happen during the game. So,
yeah, because I think Coach Al ran a lot of wishbone back in the day too.
Sure,
he kind of changed it up with Carl Myers and all that. Mm-hmm. So then after you played, what made you decide to go become a football coach, Bob?
I was just still passionate about it. I think I was a sophomore at Midland, and I went into my advisor and said, "Hey, what do I need to do to be a football coach?" She said, "You need to get into the School of Education." So, as they say, the rest is history. I started taking the correct classes, and it took me an extra year to my girlfriend's chagrin, but it got me through. And then I spent a year coaching as a student coach at Midland, and as you know, that really you gain a lot of knowledge that first year of coaching.
You realize how much little you know as a player.
Really helped me going into my first full-time job.
Where'd you first start it?
Copeland, Kansas, population under 300, down in southwest Kansas.
Really? I didn't know you went to Copeland.
I'd only seen one 8-man game in my life, and then I was coaching 8-man football. And they hadn't been winning, and we had 3 consecutive winning records. And I think it was, to be totally honest with you, I didn't know that much. I think I intimidated them more than anything. I hate to admit that. But we had some good teams, and it was a lot of fun. And I knew at the end of my tenure there, because the school was so small, you knew something was going to happen in the near future, and they did consolidate just 2 years later. But I knew that I had to learn more football, so I applied for several GA positions and several other positions at other schools, and got a GA position at UNK, and so I was there 2 years, 89 and 90. Okay. 89 and 90, and it was a
you were there right after I left Washburn and went in pro wrestling. Then
yeah, tremendous learning experience there.
Mm-hmm. Who was the head coach at that time?
Claire Boroff.
Yeah, Claire was there a long time.
You bet. And Coach Renner was the D coordinator. And oh yeah, they were both there an awful long time. But they were both very good, both students of the game, both passionate about football and about helping kids, coaching kids.
Yeah, they did. That's back when it was Kearney State too, right?
In my first year in '89, it was Kearney State. My second year, it was UNK. I was there during the transformation.
How was that?
It was very cool because we got new facilities too.
Well, that was a nice investment.
Yeah, really, you didn't notice anything different in the schedule because the schools that used to be NAIA Division I, they all went to Division II, and quite frankly, their scholarships weren't that different.
No.
So it was, like I said, on the field, it really wasn't noticeable. But University of Nebraska had made a financial commitment and they really needed to upgrade their facilities anyway. And so I was there during that transition, which was very cool. And so a lot of great stuff, whether it was weight room, coach's office, everything. The basketball arena was tremendous out there at the time. Just kind of a cool time to be there and be part of it.
Oh, very cool. Now, after you finished up your master's, then what'd you do?
I needed a job badly. That's when.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, that's
people don't realize.
No, gosh, no! You work for peanuts. I coached football. Went to school full time, and I worked at a liquor store. All three together, and we had a 1-year-old baby at home. So it was. Any young coach that goes through college football, it's a trying time. It's a heck of a time. And if your marriage lasts through it, you got a heck of a woman there. That's for doggone sure.
Yeah.
And anyway, this is when Division I had cut a full-time coach across the board, and it was just a trickle-down effect.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, I'm calling everywhere. They need this, they need that, and we're looking for everything anywhere. And a buddy of mine out of the blue calls me, said, "Hey, there's a high school job open north of Omaha, Fort Calhoun." Honest to God, all my years in Fremont, I had never been to Fort Calhoun.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't know where it was. A little bedroom community north of Omaha there, and I drove over there, and I'm pretty sure they offered me the job before I left, and when you got a baby and you got bills, you need a full-time gig,
That's
right?
Right.
So
Insurance
next thing I know, absolutely, we were moving east.
Yeah. So what was it like coaching there?
Their football job it was the longest losing streak in the 11-man Nebraska. They had a 20-game losing streak when I got there, and they had only scored in one of the previous 13 games. So it's one of those deals, you don't know how bad it is till you get in it. And the admin didn't hide anything from me. Yeah. And I went home and told my wife, I said, "Well, don't unpack everything, honey, because
really?
You never know what's going to happen." We lost our first game to Raymond Central 24-0, and they came out of it. The parents were excited because, number one, it didn't end up 60 points. Number two, 6 kids didn't go off in an ambulance or something like that, or walk off during the game. Right. Actually, we had more kids at the end of the season than we had at the beginning because kids wanted to come out. They'd heard positive things. We only went 2-7, but we played a lot of close games. And that first team at Fort Calhoun, man, it's still in my heart because those kids wanted to build a tradition. They wanted to do something special. And they had come close a couple times, and then we won our last 2 games of the season. And, we improved immensely the next year, and we were still only 2-7. And then the third year, we were better. We were 4-5. The fourth year, we were better. We were 4-5. And then we had 2 6-3 seasons. And Wahoo was fabulous back then. They were at the height of their athleticism, just like they are now.
Right.
Just a stud team, but we played a lot of good teams in the old Nebraska Capital Conference,
Right.
we were extremely competitive. By the time we were done, people really didn't want to play us because we were an extremely physical team. My first year in 1991, we had 26 kids out for football. My last year there in the fall of '96, we had 66 kids out for football.
That's a heck of a job,
so yeah, the kids bought in. Kids bought in the weight room. We ended up having 2 Division I offensive linemen, and just an offensive line that had averaged 265 pounds my last year at a Class C football team, which 4 years prior we averaged about 155.
Well, that's pretty good. That's a heck of a job in the weight room. Wow, that's impressive. Now, you went to UNO after that, right?
Correct.
That's when I first met you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I met you, Billy, was on the golf course during a UNO fundraiser, and I said, "Who is this big meathead?" That's the '80s brother. Just relax, okay. and then obviously I knew a little bit of the history. Obviously, Bob and Bill were both excellent football players at UNO, and your father had coached there, and kind of. He had that daggum grin that he's got now, and it's kind of hard not to like him. So, met him that summer, and then obviously our paths crossed several times after that.
And from there, you went to Midland as head coach, right?
Yeah, after 3 years at UNO, I had a chance to go back home, go back to my alma mater and coach, and they offered me the position up there. I was actually the OC for 2 years.
That's right.
And then I was the head coach for 5. And
kind of like both of us were about the same time.
Yeah. So that was a great learning experience too, because I went from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball. And as much as I loved the defense at UNO, and I had some great defensive linemen there.
You had 2 people in the NFL draft.
Well, Chris Cooper got drafted and had a nice 8-year NFL career. Buck Rasmussen played for the. He got a Super Bowl ring with the New England, and that was just on our defensive side of the ball. We had, obviously Bober and a lot of great kids on the offensive side too.
Got Super Bowl too.
Just we had what a talented Division II roster we had, and it was fun to coach there. Yeah. It really was, and I had learned a ton under Pat and then Marvin Sanders and just. I think everything behind the how well organized you need to be a college coach, and it's as you know, it's tough, and especially when you're short staffed, it's even tougher.
Yeah, like we are at the NEI.
Yeah, absolutely. But I had a great experience at Midland too, and went up there, and it was a great place to live, great place to move my young family, we had a nice ride there and had a fun year. We had a tough year last year, as you know, but it was those small colleges are even though you're always asking for something, man, it's really a great atmosphere for work, and you get a lot of great young men to cross paths with, and people you're still friends with today.
No, I know it was a good experience for me too at Dana. So. I mean, Midland, I thought, was our rivalry back then, and we had a lot of fun games together. I know that.
Oh, absolutely.
And stuff like that.
Great rivalry.
Yeah, it was. Great rivalry. A lot of history there.
You bet.
Back to the Lutheran days.
You bet. Yep.
So now, and then you go back to high school at Plattsmouth here, and you've had a great career here. You've been coaching a long time now, Bob, and you've built programs, and so what do you do philosophy-wise, when you first come into a program to establish, your motto?
I think it's changed over the years. I think when I was a young guy, it was about getting kids' attention, and then it was about building a great strength program, and now it's just about building relationships with the kids. I want all those things. I want a great relationship. I want kids that want to be coached. I want kids that want to go through a wall for me just as I will for them. But at the same time, it's about building relationships with young men and knowing that I'll have their back, and that we'll be there for them as coaches. That I think that's awful important, because even when you have kids go through rough patches in their life, they might not even they just might need somebody to, shut the door and let them cry, or let them spill their guts, or whatever. Let them tell you what's going on at home. But now it's 100% about relationships with my staff too. The assistant coaches, our young coaches, teaching our young coaches gets me excited. If I have some volunteer coaches and teaching them something, they understand the game a lot better, and that's fun too. There's the dangerous aspects of coaching, Bill. As you know, I one day I'm sitting there just being kind of lazy. I was standing behind the defense when we were practicing PAT field goals, and all of a sudden a young man gets launched into me, and lo and behold, next thing I know, I've got a broken leg on a football field. Not unlike you walking dogs in the park, Bill.
I was running. I was jogging that morning.
Jogging, right? Anyway, it's a dangerous place. And by the way, the young man that launched the other player into me was my own son.
Oh, really?
And he still blames it on the other kid, not me, because the other kid didn't resist enough. So anyway, Ross's senior year, I went all through this year on crutches and being immobile, and first couple games, coaches having to carry me up to the press box, which, they talk about being close with your staff. My gosh, it was crazy.
So, what now? I know, but I want you to tell the people out there, what type of offense have you always established wherever you've been? Because I know it, but I want you to tell them.
Yeah, I like a power offense. I think back in my mind, I really wanted to be an option guy like the coaches I grew up with. But even my high school coaches, they ran more power I stuff like Nebraska was at the time in the 70s. And then the more I got into coaching, we had more success with power football, even with smaller linemen, than we did with option football. And part of it was because I really didn't know how to coach the quarterbacks when I was young. But I could coach running downhill, and I could coach locking up one-on-one and let's get a push. Drop your pads, drop your butt, and let's get under somebody. So to an extent, I'm still that way. You like to say you're multiple, and eventually you have to be able to do different things. You got to be able to throw the ball downfield. You got to be able to get the ball out to the perimeter. But I still get a warm fuzzy pushing the defensive line around or seeing a big old fullback knock a D end out or outside linebacker out and getting the ball up inside.
Right. So now, because I know in a different college, because at Midland you could recruit those hosses there that you had in the offensive line, and in college, high school, you don't always. You did that year when you had your son playing for you and went to Nebraska, but you got to adjust every year because depending on your makeup. So how do you adjust your offense according to your makeup?
You really do, and the one thing we've done this year is we're running the same stuff up front with our offensive line. Backfield and receivers a whole different look. We're doing more true RPO right now, which is a struggle for me. We wanted to do it last year. I resisted, and then this summer. We didn't have anything else to do this spring and summer, right? So we went kind of
practice RPO.
Yeah, we went. Well, we didn't practice. At least the coaches got to learn it, and then we got to. So our summer camp, we went total RPO with our players, and and so instead of calling the old name or back and gap number, we just have a name for something, and the kids have picked it up well. We're not where we want to be right now, but we're gonna get this offensive line going. Like I said, we have speed on our team, and when you have some speed, you always have a chance.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. Does this? You always had the speed there, or is this something new this
year?
You
know what? No. It's kind of funny how a few kids have really matured, and then we've got a young man that's new to our program from Papio South. Even though he didn't play football at Papio South, he's a baseball player, and he came out and he can run a 30 or 40 with any of our guys. Wow. And then we have another young man, a junior, that didn't play as a sophomore, and he's back out. And we thought, I liked what I saw as a catcher in baseball this summer, and I thought, well, it'd be a tough kid. He'd be able to do something. He started at corner for us, Billy. And here's a kid that's a 6'1", 6'2" junior, a long kid, and starting at corner for us. And we have talent at that position, so it's very exciting. And we got another young kid, Rhys Baker. Rhys, God bless him, has had a lot of injuries last year as a junior, and he's fighting through everything this year. And he had a 46-yard touchdown catch the other afternoon against Blair, and he's another one of those kids that would be a legitimate 4-6 kid, and we've never had more than one on our team at a time, and I think we've got 3 or 4 right now, which is pretty crazy.
That's pretty dang good.
It really is.
That makes an RPO that much better.
Absolutely. And when we're struggling to grind, we still have big play potential.
Right. Now, does your quarterback get you those RPOs? Or how's he coming along?
Yeah, he is coming along. Jack's a first-time starter, so it's taken some time.
Right.
And
that stuff does.
And I just want him to be confident.
Right.
He's not Ben Roethlisberger. He's kind of the other way. He's a little smallish, but he's a great kid. He's a smart kid. He's even-keeled. I don't think you can get him down or get him too high, so that's good. And he made a couple of big first down throws for us the other day, and he made a couple throws that we told him this is why you don't make that throw. Right. And I think he's going to grow exponentially. And
what year is he?
He's a senior. He is a senior.
So you're hoping he gets everything picked
Absolutely.
up? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. So now, what do you do? I know what's your philosophy on defense? 'Cause I know something about your teams were always physical on defense, tough.
Yeah,
you're running the football really well. So what do you do to train all that, Coach?
It was real easy and I say easy. We had one system and one belief, but then once everybody started spreading the field, that changed everything.
Because you got to tackle an error now.
Yeah, that changed everything. When I was at UNK,
he was
Craig Bowl from Wyoming was the D coordinator at Rice at the time. He came up and helped us install a new defense at UNK. And I bought in hook, line, and sinker. I loved it. And we ran it all my years at Fort Calhoun. We ran a lot of the same front, at least the front 6 and 7 at UNO.
Yeah, you did.
And so I loved it. And we started to do it at Midland and ran a lot of it. But then the more teams spread you out, you had to adapt. Right. You really had to adapt, and that was tough for me.
Right,
that was tough for me, and same was true here. When I was a high school coach, or when I was a D coordinator at Plattsmouth the first couple of years, there's some teams that were 2-back teams.
You're good.
Our defense was real good.
Yeah,
and then they spread us out a little bit, and I had to, if we're going to play. Are we going to play cloud coverage? We're going to be cover 4. We're going to be a zero cover. How many people are going to commit to the run? And then of course, then it comes down to what kind of ponies you have out there too.
Yeah, because when you spread you out, how well do you match up when they spread you out? That's a big key. I mean, up front you can usually handle that. It's what you worry about out there in space. Right. How you match up.
There. Absolutely. And we think we have that matchup problem for other people having our kids that can run right now.
No, and there's no question. Speed kills.
Yeah.
And it always, if you got speed, it makes it tougher on that defense to get out there in single coverage and do all this and try to make. And then when you have to in that air, make a tackle. You got to make a nice tackle, and you got to make it.
Absolutely.
If you miss it, that boy's off for the races.
No, absolutely. And we had our shortest touchdown the other day was 46 yards. So that is,
you got speed,
and we do have speed. And like I said, we were not consistent on offense at all. But we had a couple of big plays, and I was excited about that.
That's something because you can always do the other stuff,
Absolutely.
I think
and we'll get better in our offensive line. We're going to get better.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to grind, and we need to be able to grind in the fourth quarter when we're ahead.
I've been in those offenses where you got to dink and dive down, and you got to do, and you have to. Mm-hmm. And it's nice when you can make big plays.
Absolutely.
It sure takes a lot of pressure, and it's nice to know that early in the season that you can do that.
Absolutely. And then obviously. But then it still comes back to having some confidence in your quarterback and him having confidence in himself and understanding, believing what he's seeing out there. Not always believing the receiver when he comes back and say, "Hey, I was open on that play." I said, every receiver that ever says that is lying.
They all say it, because we used to.
They still say in the NFL, "I'm open on that play."
Every day. I know, because the same thing. We used to throw it at Dana and.
Did you? Really? You threw the ball?
A little bit.
Okay.
And everybody, my quarterback says, they all say they're open. They're not. They're not open. Stay with your reads, kid. Stay with your reads.
I mean, you're in the Guinness Book of World Records, right?
Yeah.
For most attempted passes in a game, for the love of God.
Yeah, my dad even could believe that we did that day. I didn't even know. We just were taking what they were giving us, And,
Well, yeah. I think our defensive coordinator, Tyson Schroeder, was on the field that day. I think he lost like 37 pounds or something.
Yeah. Referees, could you run it a little bit, Bill?
Oh, my
Tired
goodness.
out here.
Oh, my goodness.
But so now, Plattsmouth, you opened up with Blair, right?
We did.
How'd that game look?
We did. Started off well. Actually, we held them to a 3. Actually, they got a first down, 4 or 5 and out, and they punted. And we got some players out there that first time players, and it was a short kick into the wind, took a bounce, and one of my blockers decides, well, I'll take a swipe at the ball. He hits it with one hand and muffs it, and they recovered it. So they get the ball again. We hold them on 3 downs. They punted again. So they punted twice, and it ran 7 or 8 plays before we ever ran an offensive play. But our first play from scrimmage was from our own 1-yard line. That's always uncomfortable, and
tightens you up out there.
It does, and it took a while for us to get going. Actually, we had ran the ball out past the 25, and then our quarterback got a little excited. He's out there looking for his receiver and stuff, but hey, we got to take the ball too. The snap went through his hands, and we lost 20 yards on the play, and we ended up punting there. And then another drive that started at the 1-yard line. Unbelievable. Billy, we had 3 drives start at the 1-yard line. I've never had that happen to me in my entire career.
Remember that either.
Your chances of scoring immensely decrease, by the way, when you do that. I tried to drive that point home. And but we did have an 87-yard touchdown run shortly after that. So once again, being able to outrun some kids cures some ills. Yeah. And that was a simple counter play, by the way. So yeah, we got off to a good start. We had another chance in the red zone, didn't come away with any points. I'll take the blame for that. I thought I put our quarterback in a tough situation. I wish he would have thrown the ball away. He did. It was to somebody with a purple helmet. But
love those.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But once again, I got to put him in a good situation too.
That's true.
And then Blair did come back and score. It was 7-7 in the first quarter, or in the second quarter, and then it was 7-7 midway through the fourth quarter, and then we connected on a third down pass, and our little guy Rhys Baker made a move back to the inside, which we often say, "What are you going back inside for? You're going to get your teeth knocked out." But he went back inside and he outran everybody. Once again, another young man, that one of those 4'6", 4'7", 40 guys, and
has good vision, obviously.
Yeah, and he did a great job, and he's had a great camp as well, and it was 14-7. We'd held him on downs, and then we made a mistake. I got greedy, and I knew we could get by a corner out there. For some reason, the quarterback threw to a different receiver, and we got picked by the free safety. Not what you want to do with a 7-point lead in the fourth quarter. And but while that kid was returning it, our other receiver, who had ran by this corner already, ran him down, stripped the football, and the ball went right into our running back's hands. So we had thrown a pick and subsequently forced him to fumble and got the ball back and took over on downs there. We ended up running some more clock. We did have to punt, but then we had them back in better field position, and they completed. We had a busted coverage. They completed a nice play, 14-7, and then nice young junior for us, Owen Prince, big play. We knew he was going to be a stud, and he just needs to get comfortable back there at free safety. He makes it. He was the one that caused the fumble on the previous situation. He picked the ball off at our 45, and 55 yards later, we were ahead 20-7. So he had a pick six, and that was the final score, was 20-7.
Well, good job, man. It's a good team to beat in your opener.
It was.
This area, Class B, is very tough. I mean,
It
there's
is.
a lot of good
It
teams
is.
with Scott and all you guys.
Oh yeah.
You're physical. You got Ashland Greenland up here. I mean, you just
Yeah.
got a lot of good schools.
Absolutely, and if you want to take a day off, you're going to get burned.
Right.
You know, you're going to get burned no matter who you play. So it's it's a good level of football, as
Well,
you
this
know.
Class B in this area is really good.
Our kids are, our kids are up to the challenge. Whoever we play, we know we play tough schedule late in the season, but that's irrelevant. You know, we're going to play the guys we have now. We have a 1-0 Ralston team coming down to Plattsmouth.
Who they beat?
They beat Beatrice the other night.
That's a good win for them.
Running back scored or rushed for 300 yards. So we got some work to do there.
How they look on film?
Like they run the ball well. They were really up and down on defense because Beatrice, I believe, scored 28 points. I believe, like us, Ralston plays kids a lot of kids two ways.
Yeah.
So we're leaning on a lot of young men to play a ton of downs. And so we're the same, very similar teams. And Blair was too. Blair's very similar to us. Ralston's really not much different.
Gotcha. Who do you end the season with that's so tough for you?
Oh, Norris and Waverly.
Okay.
I think in today's World Herald they were ranked second and third in the state. So
It's got one, right?
or I'm sorry, Waverly's one and Scott's two. So
Waverly's ahead of Scott.
I believe so.
I didn't know.
And they you know what, they deserve it, Billy. They're good, and gosh, they're loaded right now. And Reed's doing a great job down there.
He's
They
a
just
good
got great
coach.
kids.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of other good football teams to play
Oh, you
between
do.
now and then.
You do.
So
you can't in this area with this Class B, you can't take it off.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So now, one question I want to add. Now, your son played at Nebraska.
Mhm.
You had a good career there for him. Played defensive end, right?
Yeah.
So how does he feel about all this stuff going on?
Well,
What's his thought? Because he coached in college too.
Yeah, Ross, after a year out in the business world, didn't like it. Went and coached for Coach Jamrog up at Midland, ironically. And then he looked at several full-time positions, and that's when COVID hit, then everybody quit hiring.
Yeah.
And it's a tough time for a young man. And he just had a baby. And
Congratulations, Grandpa.
and so he was changing. Oh, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And then he was changing jobs and stuff, and very tough time. So he's working an 8 to 5 job right now, and assistant coaching for Plattsmouth football, and
He's helping you
and
out,
he's a
so-
real strong football
You sure
coach.
doesn't break your leg again.
Oh God, I think he's smart enough not to do that now, and we're blessed. I have two wonderful sons that are both passionate about football. My oldest son Thomas played at Fremont High, and then obviously Ross played for us at Plattsmouth and had a great career at Nebraska. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world, and it goes by that.
Can't believe
flash.
we're not playing football right now.
Goes by in a flash.
Nebraska.
And I feel bad for those kids.
I do
just
too.
like I feel bad for the OPS kids.
I do too.
Those, our OPS brothers that are coaches there. I mean, it's killing the coaches just as bad as it is the players, man.
It is.
It's hard. It's hard because this is a release for them. It's something they're passionate, something they love.
Right.
And
Exactly. Same thing with all of them.
OPS. Let's do the right thing. Get these kids back on the field. To get these coaches back on the field.
I agree. I hope the Big Ten does the same thing.
I hope so too.
So, one thing I want to ask you: what are you doing as far as attendance at the games? Because I noticed that in the Omaha, the Millard schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For preparing. So, I mean, I'm kind of wondering what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I told our administration I'd prefer to have 10,000 people there, but they said no. And right now we're only allowing 3 family members per kid.
See, yeah, the Millard and Pappy are 4 per kid.
Right, and then our the visitors sat on one side, the home team sits on the other,
That's what they would be.
and I'm sick about the student body's not there.
Oh, I know.
The student body's not there.
Yeah,
Our
'Cause
band.
they're all your butt.
Oh my gosh, our band came out and played the national anthem, and then they left. They had to, and I hope when Cass County and some other places get into phase 4 that we can put our student body back in the stands. 'Cause number one, they have fun. Those kids have fun. Friday night lights are as much fun for our students as they are for our football players.
They are.
And I
big
want
deal to them.
I want that badly for our kids. I love our kids and I appreciate the support they give our football program and our other sports teams as well. And I just hope and pray that we can beat this COVID thing real soon.
Me too. We all kind of hoping the same thing here too.
You bet.
Like Mark and I were telling you earlier, we haven't been on the road since we did. I mean,
Yeah,
we used to go seeing coaches and all
I
that
can't
stuff.
imagine you guys all in the same office on the same day. My God, I can't imagine being in an office with you all day, Billy. I mean,
That's what Mark says.
are there wrestling mats in here? What do you guys do?
You learn how to use the
I mean,
phone
you
and
don't
computer
call
remote.
me hardly at all, so you've got to be doing something.
I'll call you more now. But anyway, no, it's true. It's been interesting because it's the first time I've ever done sales this way, all from in the office.
Oh yeah, it's got to be strange, and you can do it to an extent, but hey, you want to be personable. You want those guys to know you, and they want to know you. And the one thing I do appreciate, obviously, our relationship, but the product you sold me is a good product.
I appreciate that.
Our kids love it. I've got one of our players' parents, Chris Wiseman, running the camera, and he loves it. And it's really added a lot to our teaching.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, as we wind down here, I appreciate you, and I wish you the ton of luck all year. I hope you get back in the play. I know you've been in the playoffs quite a few years in a row. Hope you get back there again and make a run at it. Because once you get in there, you know how it is. It's staying healthy, and hopefully you stay healthy enough to make a run at it.
You bet. And our roster isn't as deep as we'd like, but you know what? I'm sure half the schools we play say the same thing. So yeah, we just want to go out and get a great experience for these young men. At the same time, teach them, if they go out and work hard and fight for their goals, good things can happen.
That's right. Well, I was a wrestler. You know that because that's when I first met you. You know what we got to do? We don't have a trademark on this. Maybe
I was hoping you were going to hit me with a chair.
No, we're going to finish up with the hush. You ready, Stan?
You bet. You bet.
1, 2, 3. Hush! 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 See you next week. Thank you, Sideline Power. Very good, Bobby. That is very good.